All right, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Let's get into it. That's what everybody's been waiting for. I believe this is the very first, I think we would call this the inaugural perfect game fast draft. And we're sitting at 10 people. So let's get everybody in here and let's fill this out. And let's bring in our very, very special guests, of which there are many. Let's bring the crew in. Everyone knows Neumy. Let's go ahead and do some reintroductions for everybody else who we should know, but just to say hello and give us a little introduction. Sheep, why don't you start, man? Say hi. Give us a little rundown of who you are.
Hello, I am Darksheep. Sheep Matthew, aka guy who's in Discord all the time. What's up? We are full. Our draft is full, so I'll be brief. Follow me at D4RKSH33P_. Our draft is going.
Chris, we all know who you are, but just for the sake of the structure, if you would, please.
I am Chris. Nice to talk to you guys all again, except for Tuma. I don't think we've actually ever spoken before. So nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for everything. I am Baseball on Twitter. I will say the World Baseball Classic has been great for people learning how to spell my handle because the baseball is out there now. So yeah, I'm here. I'm loving it and I'm ready to go. It's going to be great.
Thank you, sir. Tuma.
How we doing, guys? I think no, it's cool to be here. I'm not drafting the way you guys are. As an employee, I unfortunately can't draft as much as I'd love to be in this with you guys. But I think everyone on this StreamYard right now has really participated in the growth of underdog baseball and just getting information out there, making people smarter. So it's cool to be a part of it. And I think I was talking to both Nez and Neumy at one point about some of the perfect game drafts that you guys did. I'm really just excited to see what the ADP looks like and react off of it.
Yeah, I agree. And no, we owe a lot to you as well. I know you've been a very great advocate on our behalf as well at the company. So I'm really impressed to see where baseball has gone on the platform this year and really excited to see where we go on the daily contest. Neumy, since you're the 101, you want to say hi and let us know how these perfect games have been for you so far?
What's up, everybody? Yeah, this is actually my first 101 in the perfect games. I've done 8, so we're going to take my first share of judge there. I can't complain. Sitting with a bunch of Soto and Alvarez, but yeah, excited to be here. They've been interesting. We'll dive deep into here. I think we're going to probably milk clock so we can get some talking in. It's probably going to be the way we do it. But yeah, they've been interesting. I know Tuma immediately asked what the streets were like. And it just seemed like people were less afraid to take risk, which I don't know if that's the right thing to do. I don't know what's right or wrong. I've been more apt to take a little risk with the 4/12 advancing. But yeah, it's been an interesting endeavor into these 250s. And you guys take back-to-back Angels here, I see. So
well, it's about time, man. All my picks have been in like the latter half of pretty much every draft, let alone these perfect games. Real quick, I want to address the elephant in the room. Chris. What?
Surprise.
I love that. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, you didn't know. We kept it a secret. Let's go.
What took place to get you in this lobby?
So I was traveling this weekend, so I was in a place where I could reload the ammunition and fire a couple bullets in the chamber. And I was me and Neumy have been sweating this all afternoon because I've been parked in this lobby since I don't know 2 or 3 o'clock. So I have been watching this thing like a hawk. I got back an hour or so ago. So it was the perfect timing, and I just wanted one of these, and I was like, okay, well, it lines up perfectly. I'm traveling. It's on stream. It's gonna be great. I told Neumy because I need someone to know. And then when you went away right before we came online, Sheep and Tuma found out because we were just talking about who was going to be in the draft. So congrats, you're the last to know. But as the host, I think that's only fair. I really wanted to. I wanted the 101 and I wanted to take Mike Trout. So that's
so. This was your only bullet in the perfect game fast.
Yeah.
Are you in the next? You're not in the next one, I know, because I'm in the next one in case this filled. So you were really, this is the golden bullet, huh?
This was the one and only. I was like, yeah, it's been a sweat here just to get into the draft. So the 20 rounds, we'll see how those go. But nothing will match the last 3 hours of tracking this thing like a maniac.
That's awesome. We got a lot of friends and family here. We got our boy Viper in the draft, Asset in here as well. Shout out Coach Mike Nez in here. What up? Lot of friends. Bo Sox, hello. Hope, hello. Josh, Murderers Row, indeed, with you in here. And Sock Muffin, dude, we will have to do another one of these. I am really sorry that we couldn't squeeze you in. I will make it up to you. I promise. So this is kind of looking like how we see like ship chasing drafts go, where it's just like nothing but yellow. And you see these in a lot of drafts as well. But to see Burns and Cole go back to back like that, I think is correct and not something that we see a lot in these drafts. Where have you guys, whoever wants to answer this question, come around to pitchers in this format, as Chris has been trying so hard to get us to give more respect to these elite pitchers? Have you guys, as you're rounding out your drafts, found yourself pushing up pitchers, or are you just sticking with what you've been doing all draft season?
As a chief pitcher,
sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm still pretty firmly no pitcher in the first 2 rounds.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure. You'd be the last to convert if we did. So we'd have to show you the sky was falling for you to believe it if we were all telling you. But Chris, what were you saying?
I was going to say I'm pitcher in the first 2 rounds. So I'm on the other side of sheep here. I'm just pitcher early and often, and the good ones are the ones that I want, the ones that are going to throw a lot. I did a quick look today at just how much things have shifted year over year, and it was like 15 of the top 20 people that have kind of moved up, all pitchers. Like it's just like a purple everything moving up the board. And yeah, I think that it's moving in the right direction. Don't know if it's going to be correct again this year. It was more right last year, and that's kind of where I've landed a lot this year, is early, often, and then stop.
Mm-hmm. That's what's interesting, right? Is because all we have is last year. However, there wasn't a ton of anomalies, I don't think, with pitcher last year, outside of some of these, like Shane McClanahan, of course, went nuclear, and he was a mid-round draft pick. Otherwise, I think there's something to be said about how the field is able to identify elite pitchers and how we are pricing them, I guess you could say, in these draft lobbies. Give me a minute as I'm up here. This is a tough spot, I will say, but because I don't know why I don't like taking Alonso, and I'm staring at him right now.
I got a question while you think for everybody else. So I had a decision on my first one. Julio fell to me, but I also had the chance to get Mookie, who I love just as a player. So that was a really tough decision for me to take perhaps maybe a later round Julio than he's gone in these perfect game drafts, or just go with my guy. And I went with my guy, and I got Freddie back, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Wow, that's something to think about too, because these are low volume, I guess you could say, with these drafts. To get a Freddie and Mookie, I think is going to be rare in this tournament, because there's only so many drafts. And we see here baseball going with DeGrom, absolutely gutting Neumy in real time. Did you want that one?
I wanted DeGrom or Strider, and I was hoping one of them were going to get back.
I guess you're going to have to go anchor Mitch Keller then.
All right, let's see.
I really wanted Alonso.
Oh, really?
So when Alonso, I really wanted Alonso. I'm big on Alonso this year. I think he's got a like Goldschmidt-esque potential from last year. I really like the upside that he has. And when he was gone, that's kind of like my cutoff for that elite tier with him and Goldschmidt. So I was like, all right, fuck it, pitcher time. And I saw Neumy on the turn, and I thought there was a 0.0 chance I was getting DeGrom back. I saw DeGrom. I saw a 10-second clip today where he struck a guy out, so I'm in. So he's on my team.
Yeah, that gutted me. That gutted me right there.
We all saw you swear off the mic.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure it was muted.
Harris? Shit.
I'm curious with you guys, and this is, the highest stake drafts you can do. Are you still just so focused on structure when you're going through this, or are you more willing to lean into your individual player takes because this is like the draft where you want to get your guy because that means you could profit the most from it?
I've only done like 6 or 7 pitchers in this. And I think it's like pretty even as far as how I've gone when doing that. Well, since I'm on stream here, I'm going Brian Reynolds. It's a borderline no brainer. But yeah. So for me personally, because this is 4 out of 12 advance, I think I'm more apt to take players like Fernando Tatis. I think with him going this short around the turn, this is really something that we see, that at least I've seen a lot in these drafts in my slows. Whereas normally he's more like in the Pete Alonso range. I'm more apt to take Tatis early. I'm more apt to take Harper early because it's a more forgiving structure. So I'm taking those type of risks. And as far as the structure goes, I'm not going 0 pitcher because I respect the work that you and Chris have done too much to go 0 pitcher in a draft like this. So, like I said, mostly like 6 and 7, and I've only done one draft where I waited until round like 7 or 8 to take a pitcher because I was getting hitter value just out the wazoo. What about you guys? Are you adjusting your draft principles in something like this, given the money and the advanced structure?
For
I
me,
think
yeah, I think
We're gonna do this all night.
Sorry, I'm
We'll
gonna start.
figure it
I'll go sheep first. Let's go sheep. I'll start directing.
Yeah,
these
me
people.
first again.
Sorry,
Take that.
I'm not usually a host, guys.
I was gonna say that's hosting 101. You got to call on the person you're asking the question to.
Thanks, Brandon.
I'm this is the first one of these I'm doing, so I'm sort of adjusting on the fly. This is a lot higher stakes than I normally do for most anything, so I'm sort of adjusting on my fly. But so far, it's been just getting my guys.
Yeah, I do think this is kind of the place to do that. Chris, what's your thought process going into this?
same. I'm also trying to get my guys here. I think this is going to be similar to sheep, higher stakes than I usually wade into. And so this is going to be there's only 430 something teams in the whole tournament, and it's top 4 advanced, top 3 advanced, 3 advanced, and a 9-person final. So to me, that means, yeah, go get the guys that you have strong stances on and still build with good structure. Like, that's not something you just abandon because the contest is a little bit smaller, but I'm more willing to make like individual calls at certain spots and throw out that artificially constructed ADP a little bit more often here, I think.
And that was going to be my next question, is when you guys encounter like insane value at your pick, and I don't know, Chris, if you've done any slows. I know Darksheep, I think this might be your first. So if this might just be a question for Neumy, but if you see a value in a draft like this, are you willing to be a value hound where you have like $250 at stake, or are you more like, you know what, I'm just gonna I'm not gonna catch the falling knife? Are you scooping value on players that you don't like, Neumy?
Yeah, so to first answer it, I do get my guys. I am 38% Buxton in my 8 drafts here. I mean, it's just I get them there, and I'm trying to just to scroll down and see. I mentioned Bogarts was a guy I wasn't really on, like in our fades, kind of in our busts. Basically just at ADP. I'm at 25% here. And then if I look at my average ADP, that's in the 80s. So, I mean, I'm willing to, I mean, if you look at just his ADP here, sitting at 69. So I was willing to basically take a little bit of a discount on Bogarts, 10 picks, 12 picks, probably stack them with Soto, something like that. If it's like deep enough, I'm willing to take it. Lately, in my last one, I know I've taken Glass now. He fell to like 135, and I felt that was good enough to take Glass now as my SP6. So I basically capped off my team. So yeah, I'm willing to take on a little bit of that risk. If it's a guy I don't like, I'll still kind of weigh it. Because like I said, I'll just go get my guys. That's really how it is. It's been interesting. The guys that I've really seen fall, like I noted in that tweet, it's just basically injury-riddled guys. Tatis has been someone that's fallen a lot. Rodon fall a lot when he kind of got that. What was it, like a?
Do you think Buxton's a good pick for me right here? What do you think?
Don't do it. Don't do it for the bit. Oh, he takes Corbin Carroll.
Oh,
One of you guys has to take Buxton, right? Yeah, he's gonna go.
Corbin Carroll's up to 43.4. That is outrageous.
Listen, man,
Insane.
have you
it's
seen
truly
him run the
crazy.
bases?
Yeah, no, he's an absolute player's take guy because when Chris starts talking about structure, first of all, he sounds so smart and elegant when he does it.
I know.
He's imprinted it in my brain like no matter who you want to take, who you want to fade, who you want to like, you got to keep proper structure. Like that's how I've been drafting with the employee ones. But Corbin Carroll is such a player take type of pick because if you just plug in any projection system, Corbin Carroll's never going to spit out a 4th round value.
Ever.
You just need to trust that, he's going to outperform that and you got to believe in the talent sort of thing. So he's the most fun type of player to be right about, but you definitely need to be willing to believe in it more than, everyone else in the computer says to.
Right. And the thing with him is the fact that he has the speed and the athleticism, I think makes him easier to trust, oddly. Even though I do love guys with like great play discipline, like a Vinny P, for example. I think I think we are all members of like the Vinny P hive that just find him just to be just such a safe smash based on the way that he hits. But with Carroll, the speed, I think what people who take him where I take him are hoping for is that the rule changes for steals are just going to create chaos. And I don't think that that's out of the question that MLB doesn't know what they've done. We just have to see it for ourselves first.
I fully agree. And with the underdog scoring, I never view it. I think of it more the point space as homers, doubles, walks, those things kind of quietly add up. And we don't always think about the stolen bases because that's more of a roto league sort of thing. But stolen bases are still worth 4 points. And you're absolutely right. Is it out of the range of outcomes that someone like Trey Turner steals 60 bases or someone like Corbin Carroll? Everyone's down on Carroll steals because he didn't steal much in his cup of coffee last year. But like you said, he's legitimately the fastest player in the majors. I have a 40-1 ticket that he leads MLB in steals. So I would love if he runs absolutely wild.
Wow. I wonder what those odds are at now. You have to have had.
They're down. It's like 25 or 28-1 now.
Yeah. Probably as soon as he put the ink to that paper, Vegas was like, oh my God. Okay. Let's adjust this before Brendan takes all of our money. No, that's a good point about the steals and with a lot of guys. I mean, we could be underestimating their stolen base capability, but we obviously have to see what happens. I'm hoping that there's a little bit of chaos just for the fun factor, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. So Neumy gets his boy Byron Buxton. I was surprised that he made it there. I didn't think Chris would let him do that, but here we are. So two pitchers right now. I'm sitting at 0, so maybe this is my second 0 pitcher. And Darksheep with the Corey Seager pick, who is one of my favorite picks this year. Are you on board with the Corey Seager hype as well?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been as ADPs have shaken out. He just seems like a great value where he's going, and he's been looking on fire this spring. So I'm buying into the spring hype, which I shouldn't, but
are you as part of the thesis that the shift ban is going to like do miracles on him? I mean, he's always been a great hitter, but
I think he just had a bad season last year, and he has the bonus of the shift changing. There's a correction factor coming in on top of the benefit he might have.
Mm-hmm. I agree. He always seems like a guy that kind of comes short of his projections. Maybe not every year, but more often than not, at least he seems kind of to be a projection darling, but he hits the hell out of the baseball, slugs like crazy. I like his lineup. They are a little top heavy. I think I take a lot of Corey Seager. And if I was considering taking him where I took Francisco Lindor, but went with a little stack factor there with Pete Alonso. Are you guys keeping up with the World Baseball Classic? Did we beat Cuba?
I have it on the background here. U.S. is up 8-2, now 9-2. So it's looking like it's going to be less dramatic than last night.
I wasn't sure if we were going to see any major shifts in ADP because of these WBC performances. I don't think we've seen any movement that we can pinpoint to a performance, but Trey Turner, man, hitting some absolute nukes in Miami. I mean, good Lord. I think his home run today was like 109, 110 off the bat. I mean, just ridiculous. A guy that, maybe in hindsight, we could look at someone like these top 5 infielders that go off the board and by raw points, like we have them way mispriced and they should actually be going in the mid first. Something that I'm like trying to grasp, because we are pretty good at identifying these first round outfielders and how scarce they are. But man, some of the points that these infielders can put up is just ridiculous.
I think the biggest WBC takeaway, and I was actually going to ask where you guys think he went, but I see he already went. Jose Altuve in the early 5th, that is. Like, that's obviously new information that we just learned about last night into today. And I don't think anyone here in the draft took Altuve in the early 5th. I'd be curious to hear the rationale behind it, just because I hate taking guys who miss time on underdog. Like, I'm zero Bryce Harper type. Tatis is okay because it's such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
But like Glass down, once he got hurt, I was kind of out. Once, say, Suzuki got hurt, I was kind of out there, just because I'm so scared of risking zeros, and 20 roster spots is so shallow, I think, for,
I mean, it is
if you play for the whole season. Yeah.
If you play a lot of fantasy baseball, 20 roster spots is not a lot to take for the entirety of the season. I think Neumy just got sniped based on his reaction as Giancarlo Stanton goes. But yeah, that Altuve to me is that's 51. I'm not sure if that was like an auto pick, or if you're just like, if this guy's just saying, you know what, screw it, I still want Altuve. Missing 10 weeks with it being a thumb as well. I think the injury scares me once he comes back. I mean, he's not like obviously not dependent on the home run, but he has a lot of power, and for him to sustain a thumb injury, that kind of scares me as far as how he looks whenever he returns. How does he look for the whole season battling this? We've seen guys have down years for the entirety of the season due to lingering injuries. So that to me is a little worrisome. I don't think I'm bumping down any like Astros because of this. Low key, should we be bumping up Kyle Tucker, because he likely goes from like the 6th spot up to like top 3 at where he should be hitting all along, right? Or am I galaxy braining that?
I think he's already so high, it's tough. If you want to put him a tick or 2 higher, the Dusty thing is so weird with where he hits him, and I know he's planning to hit Brantley 2nd, but Brantley might not be ready for opening day. That's like a Tony Pollard Zeke situation. Like, that just needs to sort itself out.
That's so funny. That's really what it is.
Even if it takes Dusty a little while to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, Kyle Tucker's a stud no matter what, wherever you want to take him in the first.
All right. I'm staring at absolutely no pictures in my queue. Let me just show you guys what I'm looking at here. I'm I
see it. I see it on my screen too.
I hated this last turn. Horrible.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm on stream and I don't take O'Neal Cruz, I mean, do I even deserve to be in this spot?
We left him for you. You'd be one of the biggest frauds.
A Carroll Cruz combo. There's 2 players that could just go nuclear.
I have like the risk assessment of like the average bank in America right now. I mean, just going for it. Just going for it. Trust me, bro. Is what I'm telling my investors. I don't know. What do you think on Cruz, Tuma? Are you a believer? Are you scared? I feel like he's a very polarizing player, and I'm surprised that his ADP is as high as it is, because he's a Pirate and he has a risky profile. I can't believe the field is this high on him, but if I want him, I have to take him here. What do you think?
He's the perfect type of player that gets hyped up nowadays, just with Twitter and StatCast, and because he hits the ball so hard and he runs so fast and he throws the ball so hard defensively that there's a highlight every game he plays online, and that just gets his name out there more and more. I think it makes sense to take, shares of him. Definitely. If he goes completely off, you don't want to miss out on that altogether. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I also feel like he's someone I come back to where I personally play in a ton of different fantasy leagues. I play in Dynasty and I play Best Ball and I play Redraft and Roto and Points. And I kind of like targeting certain guys for certain formats. And I think I'm most comfortable with my O'Neal Cruz shares coming in a Roto format as opposed to being on Underdog. But
I think
anyone
that's a
who
good point.
yeah, but anyone who volume drafts, like everyone here on the stream does, you don't want to have zero O'Neal Cruz. You know what I mean? Like he's someone you need to be sure you're getting some shares of throughout the offseason.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think he's a zero fade type of player. Sheep, what about you? Are you anywhere close to Cruz? I feel like he fits the bill of like a poster boy of somebody that you don't take.
I think it's more where he's going in when I'm not looking for that position. I don't know that I'm really picking him in particular out of not wanting to have him. I mean, it's more I'd have to pull it up or I'd have to look again.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just
But
look at the
usually it's a
outfielders
pitcher.
that go around him, right? Or
Since-
even pitcher, yeah.
Since I'm skipping those first 2 rounds, sometimes even 3 of pitcher, that I'm usually looking for pitcher at that point.
Yeah, I think that makes sense depending on the type of drafter you are. And we see these outfielders in round 7. I mean, like Santander, somebody who I think if you can make a case anybody's getting a WBC bump, it's probably him. He's having a hell of a WBC. O'Neal, Varsho. I mean, there's really good outfielders that go where Cruz goes. So you definitely are like sacrificing some strong outfield capital by taking Cruz there. And yeah, I wanted to bring up Riley Green. So he's been flying up draft boards lately. I honestly haven't paid attention to his spring. I try not to get tied to too many spring training results, but I mean, ADP of 108 and he goes 85 here. So that's pretty interesting. Anybody have any bullish thoughts on Riley Green? Chris, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Very in. He's one of my highest owned players. I think one of my highest owned outfielders. I don't love 108, and I don't know about 85. It's a go get your guys kind of move. But I've been steadily scooping him in the when he was going in the 130s, 120s range. I love the skills. I love the profile. I love the opportunity. I really think that the injury last year has given us a nice buying opportunity. Oh, Nez, you fuck. God damn it.
I can't believe he came back, man. I almost reached on him over Cruz, to be honest, because I was
I thought about it last time.
I don't know why I think he's going to fall through you guys.
Sorry, buddy.
Oh, don't do it. Don't take him. He's going to take
There's...
that's fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
I know. There were 2.
Okay.
You're going to get the other one.
In terms of my exposure right now, I have none of this guy I'm about to take in the perfect game, but I'm all over him. And I had a bunch of Correa stacked with Buxton. So
let's see.
I don't want to
endorse this
this
pick.
is tough because there's a perfect guy that we were just talking about for Altuve that I also think gets a bump, obviously. It's not a one.
Sir, you're on the wheel.
I know. I'm aware. I got to do it.
Okay. Yeah, he was definitely going in the next few picks if you didn't. I think this dude Wigglesworth is auto drafting, and to potentially his detriment, as he's sitting on 1 outfielder right now. So unique strategy, Cotton.
I wanted to bring up what you were talking about before about Sheep made a point about O'Neal Cruz doesn't fall in the range where he takes infielders. And I remember talking with Chris at one point about last year, what Paul Goldschmidt, he was the number 2 player in advance rates. Obviously, he was the NL MVP. And I forget his exact ADP. I think it was like the early-ish rounds. But he's someone who I feel like if we were approaching this purely structurally last season with the outfields and kind of pitchers early, backfill with infielders late and everything, Goldschmidt never would have stood out as someone to aggressively target. Judge, obviously no one saw that coming based on his ADP, but he was still, would have been in the mix as like an outfielder. Shane McClanahan was someone who the talent was obvious going in the middle rounds, that sort of thing. And I keep coming back to like, who is this year's Goldschmidt? Is there a this year's Goldschmidt? And some of those like third, fourth round infielders is just a spot. Like I don't like taking infielders, but I'm worried that I'm going to miss out on someone having a huge season because of that.
That's what I've been trying to grasp as well, and trying to look at the profiles that people slept on last year and seeing who, like you just said, make those comparisons. Who are the people that are being slept on, or who are the people that are being overdrafted? Because last year in the last round, we on one of our Badge Bro streams, we looked at one of my drafts that I did last year in last year's Dinger. The last 3 rounds were like loaded with great picks. It was kind of wild. Like Santander was going in like the last round, like totally just free. And just a lot of guys. And I'm trying to figure out, I wanted to do a thought experiment and I never got around to it, but not sure what it is about the players that we're sleeping on. And I'm wondering, did we get over the course of an off season and an extra year of this format, how much sharper, how much smarter did the field get? Because when we look at Chris's data, like that, I think we need to kind of think about where players were going positionally as opposed to where they were going as we look at this data retrospectively. And one of the things that we do know, I think, Chris, maybe you can remember off the top of your head where like we were talking about where pitcher like X goes compared to last year. And I think that like maybe it was like pitcher 20 goes like a round and a half sooner or something. Like was it something like that? Do you remember? Or am I talking to the wrong guy?
Yeah, it was pitcher 21, 20, 24, and 18 all went 14 or 15 or 16 picks ahead of where they went last year. That whole middle section of pitcher has just been shoved up. And on the other end, it's infielders in the like infielder 25, 30, 35, 40. That whole range has come down. So I think that's really important context when we talk about like what happened last year and what's happening this year. I'm going to probably tweet it out tomorrow or something, just like my thoughts on where these shifts are happening and what that actually means for the way we're drafting. Because if you just look at last year's stuff and, you know, try and build a strategy based off that without adjusting for what's actually happening now, then you're just shit out of luck. And you're going to be basically trying to play last year's game this year and probably won't work out so well. So I think that knowing those pockets and like where people have shifted is really important, in finding the like spots of value in your draft and figuring out who you want where and when is the most important part for, you know, like building out this portfolio of X number of drafts, is getting your guys in the right spots and getting your guys at good values.
Yeah. You said that very succinctly. Darksheep taking Chris Sale to nobody's surprise. You called it once he made an appearance in spring training, he was going to shoot up, and I think we've kind of seen that a little bit, have we not?
For sure, yeah. I haven't taken him much, but I decided that as I'm going here and falling behind at pitcher, I needed to take some high risk shots, and I skipped over quite a few guys in this pitcher pool that I would normally take before Chris Sale. But it seemed like the right spot based on where I'm at with pitcher. And same thing with Hunter Green. I'm not taking a ton of him just because of the shutdown risk. You know, we don't know what kind of limits he'll have this year, but just based on falling behind on pitcher, I feel like I wanted to take those 2 shots, and now I can get more boring if I want.
That's music to your ears. Chris taking my man Mitch Haniger. I was debating taking him where I took Jesse Winker, but I'm really into the new park for Winker, getting him back in the NL Central. I think he's a very good hitter, and I think that this lineup for the Brewers is unfortunately underrated. But Haniger, if he's healthy, right, like we should be expecting. That's the thing, if he's healthy, right? So at a certain point, I think we go from projecting like, well, we know what he will do when he's on the field, but how many games is he going to give us? And he's not really starting off on the right foot. Are you still? Is this is obviously a good spot for you, Chris, as far as where you would take him?
Yeah, I really wanted Winker, so that sucked. But Haniger was next up in the queue. I think that the Winker point is an excellent one, and he's been a target, and he goes in a good spot still. The Haniger one is tough because he's injured. We're not entirely sure when he's going to be back. It's kind of a gross spot. All right.
Yeah,
let's
that
see.
sweet spot of outfielders like really kind of screwed us with the Suzuki and Haniger injury. I mean, it really those were such comfy clicks in this range, and to lose them to not get them opening day is very unfortunate. It goes Bassett, damn it.
Yeah, I think the underlying stuff for Haniger is still really good. And the park move is fine. And then I think that if the Giants have this reputation of being this platooning machine, because they really haven't had, outside of a couple guys, like quality core pieces that they can play every day and get like consistent at bats, plate appearances. When they go out and sign Haniger after, chasing all the other guys that fell through, I feel like the answer is a lot of Haniger when he's healthy. And I think that they're just going to have, spots to fill, and smart teams platoon when they don't have quality to like put in the lineup. But when they have quality, the best way to use quality is to use it a lot. So I think that they're just going to play him when he's healthy, and it's going to be a nice kind of boost for his stats. The Seattle stuff last year, like there was a lot of kind of weird stuff going on with some of the hitting on that team. We had Julio, but then a bunch of other guys that were Parks. I think we're on the same wavelength with Seattle this year, which is big down, especially for the offense. I am not a fan. So cover your ears, John, but it's not looking good behind the first like couple of guys, and that lineup just scares the shit out of me. But the Giants, I see like some actual upside on this offense, and there's going to be someone that goes later that we will talk about when he gets picked. But got a diatribe ready on him. So the Giants, there is upside, and the Seattle side, I just see downside.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think with the Mitch Haniger stuff, I'm totally in lockstep with you. I don't think that there was any platoon risk with Haniger. I know that was literally the story behind the Giants the last 2 years is everybody's platooned. But yeah, when you sign Haniger, I don't think that that's some, especially when you look at the right-handed bats that are with him or the left-handed bats that are there. Like I don't think that they're like they're not good. The left-handed bats there aren't good enough to supplant Haniger from his lineup spot. He's a very good hitter. I like that signing for them, and they're just like they're just an interesting team on the whole. I could talk about the Giants for a whole episode. The Mariners though, very strangely like built team by Dipoto. Like with the Castillo trade, I think kind of blocked them out of having the prospect capital of grabbing like another elite bat, which is I think they were planning on doing was like, we have this farm system, but we're also going to give Julio the monster contract and then give him the right pieces around him. I mean, health with if that team stays healthy, I think they're similar to the Rangers offensively, which is to say, like, I think that they're a good offense, like not good, but above average. But that implies that they stay healthy and that we get great results from Ty France and Eugenio Suarez, which, that's not a guarantee by any means. Sheep, damn it, taking Rowdy Tellez.
I had to get one Brewer.
Big beefy boy there from Milwaukee. What's the news on Voit, man? Is he going to make the team, you think?
I don't know. They pushed off the decision date on his contract, and he was okay with it, which is weird to me. Be like, I've shown what I got in spring. He's been hitting a lot for Milwaukee, and like, hey, you put me on the team, or I'm going somewhere else. But he wants to be there enough that he's gonna give a few more days for them to decide. But I don't know if there's a decide. Keston Hiura is just toast. Get rid of him.
Yeah,
just drop him at this point.
I feel like that's
such a lost cause.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for on the Hiera front. There was a lot of excitement around him and just couldn't stop swinging and missing. So
I can go find my stack of Bowman firsts of Keston Hiura if you want.
Don't do that. Don't turn this into.
We can make a little. We can start a fire or something.
Yeah, don't. Let's not turn this into a sadder stream than it needs to be. Chris, I really like that Benintendi pick. I'm really coming. I mean, I have a ton of Benintendi this year, even though he's like such a boring, just safe pick. But I just think he's just an accumulator, and I'm really coming around to the White Sox offense. I'm not sure how you guys feel about this. are you particularly bullish on the White Sox, Brendan, or do you think they're priced appropriately? Because I think that there's a strong argument that they're undervalued in ADP.
It's so funny you asked, and this I'm not like a huge sports bettor, but I do like when I do sports bet, I don't like just betting on individual games with a short turnaround. I'm more of a like what's the word, like season long better, like
Futures,
yeah, futures. Okay, but it's still not on the side of like, oh, let me take this crazy 60-1 shot.
Yeah.
Although those are obviously fun to take, but I like taking a lot of stats over unders and just like using projections to try to find what sportsbook has the best line about possibly taking an under. And anyways, I look at that with standings projections that like Zips and the Bat and Pacoda put out. And the White Sox, I like targeted them kind of as like not the easiest, but like my favorite under to take for the team as a whole a bit. Because when you look at their lineup, and obviously that has to do with the line that was set on them. So if the line had been different, like they easily could have been an over. But when you look at their lineup 1 through 9 right now with everyone healthy, especially with Eloy and Luis Robert healthy, they look really good. The thing is that organization just has such little depth that I'm just betting on by taking the under on them, that if Eloy, Robert, or honestly anyone else on that entire team really misses significant time, that's really going to cripple them the way it wouldn't the Dodgers, the way it wouldn't even a team like the Giants, who don't have as exciting of a lineup when you just look at their 1 through 9, but that organization has so much depth. They have good players in the minors who can come in and fill in for any injuries. So yeah, I think that's been the story for a few years now, right? Especially Eloy and Robert. Those two, if they stay healthy, they're going to have monster fantasy seasons and they're going to be huge for the White Sox, but we just haven't seen it.
Mm-hmm. And I think with Robert, he's a great player. I think I personally kind of overestimated his ceiling when he is out there. I kind of see him as this like bona fide stud, all-star, etc. And I don't know that his ceiling is what maybe myself and others who are like super bullish on the White Sox as like high as maybe people perceive it to be. But like you said, if they are healthy, I think it would be hard for them to not at least like pay off ADP, but maybe exceed it. But that's a very legitimate question if they are going to be healthy or not. Are you a Oscar Colas guy? Or
one other point about Eloy, what I want to see from him so badly as a fan of his, I want him to agree to being the DH every day, because they've talked about DHing him more, and he's come out and said, I want to play the field. And as an athlete and a competitor, I respect that. Like, he should want to play the field and everything. I still think he's in this like Jordan phase. Like, Jordan had a little bit of a time there, I think it was around 2020, where his knees were really bothering him. They had to go to a full-time DH role for him, and he committed to it, and then he became an amazing hitter, and now they mix him back more into the field. That's kind of what I want to see from Eloy during this, little bit injury phase of his career. If he just keeps pushing and pushing to play the field and gets hurt again, then I don't know if it's ever going to happen for him, but he's still young enough that it could, for sure.
Yeah, I took so much of him last year, and it's not really his fault. That was sort of a freak injury with him trying to rob that home run and like completely just dismantling his shoulder. Really burnt me. So I have a little buyer's remorse there. So I'm not quite as bullish on him, but I am, I think, a little over the field on Eloy. But
so I just want to bring up quickly, I want to see all you guys' reactions to that. Kelnick in the 13th. I was going to ask about him as a spring training performer who's getting pushed up, because again, these are employee drafts. Some of the ones that I do, so they aren't as sharp, but like I was getting him in like the second to last, very to last round, and this was just a few weeks ago. So to see him go in the 13th is really interesting to me.
That's got to be like pure spring training, right?
Spring training and selling out for upside in a high stakes draft.
Are you what would you pay this price?
I want to hear your guys' thought. You're the one who took Corbin Carroll and Bryce Harper and Cruz. Sheep's over here taking Chris Sale and Tyler Glass now. So you guys have shown a willingness to, chase a little upside. And obviously he plays the thinnest position in the pool.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm not too high on him. Neumy, do you have any Kelnick at cost?
No, I don't have any Kelnick at all.
Interesting.
He moved up way too fast. It's not in my range of where I draft outfielders. And now he's just got into a range where I like the other guys around him. Yeah, it's
the time
really tough.
to do it was a while ago, and I like the way you
Exactly.
phrased that. Like he moved up too quickly. If it had been more gradual, maybe you would
It
have
was like a
started
Hunter
grabbing some
Brown.
shares.
It was like Hunter
Yeah.
Brown, and yeah, when all of a sudden he went within like if I wasn't drafting a draft every single day and capitalizing on it, like he went
Mhm.
from a near 20th, 19th round pick to what it like a 14th or a 15th, 16th or something, somewhere in there. Like he just shot up. So
Mhm.
yeah, I was just out. I'm just like, at this point, it just makes sense to fully fade it.
I
So
think the best comparison to make with Kellenic is to someone we talked about earlier in Green, who we saw put together at the end of last season, like good numbers and like improve, coming back from injury and then just like sort of being flat and then improving. And we've seen Kellenic fail multiple times at the big leagues.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's
more
like the
willing
evil
to
we
chase.
know, right?
Yeah, I'm more willing to chase Green up a little bit than I am the guy who's failed a couple of times, which I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's my logic.
I'm with you. I feel like I've seen enough. Maybe that's me selling too quickly on Kelnick, but at that ADP, I feel like I've seen enough of him at the major league level to know that he's just he is who he is. I'm more willing to give like pitchers like benefit of the doubt as far as slow starts go than a hitter to like burst on the scene and get it done or not get it done in Kelnick's case. But talk about like a huge swing in outcomes for the Mariners if he ends up being who we all thought that he could be. I mean, that just completely changes their trajectory like none other.
I almost took Cassis right there for you, Tuma. I almost took it right there. But
He's staring me in the face right now.
Same.
He's
Did I
he's
take
gonna
your
be the
guy,
Sox.
Chris?
He's gonna be the Sox leadoff hitter, Cassis.
That you had your diatribe.
You're gonna hit him
prepared
lead off?
Yeah. Oh, Trey Turner just homered again.
Are you serious? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So Cassis is leadoff. Is that confirmed knowledge?
Core hasn't come out and like said it every day, but it's like strongly implied that against righties he's gonna lead off, and then against lefties Kike is gonna lead off.
Do you like that?
It's like modern, quote unquote, because he's
Right.
on base, and it's like how Schwarber leads off, honestly. And the Yankees even let off Judge, like I think like 40 times last year. I read. So no, I'd rather have like a Mookie. Well, I'm a Red Sox fan, so I'd rather have Mookie Betts on my
Sure you
team.
would. Hey, at least you got Verdugo though.
But I'd rather have like a Mookie Trey Turner type where like, yeah, they get on base, but they're still fast. Like there's still always going to be a part of my baseball brain that's engraved that like that's how lineups are made. And it's weird that Cassis leads off. Regardless of what, whether I like it or think it's right or wrong, I do think that's what's going to happen to start the season. Devers second, Yoshida fourth.
That's really interesting. I can understand and respect Judge leading off. The Schwarber leadoff to me, I never quite got, and maybe that's why I'm not working for a front office. But I just don't like a guy that hits for an average of 200 and doesn't lead the team in OBP. And hey, I guess he stole a few bases like out of nowhere last year. Like that was pretty cool. But I don't quite get him leading off. But hey, they made it to the World Series, so they're doing something right. I wanted to ask you about Merrill Kelly here, as far as like a guy who I think we are like box score watching. Do you think there's anything there that is like sustainable and that these results can come back, especially since he's not a like high strikeout guy with the change in the shift?
Yeah, I think it's tough because he qualifies under the type of pitcher I like to take, an underdog who goes deep enough to get wins, to get quality starts. His, quote unquote stuff is just not standout, and he relies on, his command and then therefore pitching deep into games and everything. And I think year over year, that's tougher to repeat than just having an incredible arsenal. So yeah, I don't know. He's not someone that I've targeted a lot personally. I totally get. I'm very neutral on Merrill Kelly.
Yeah. I like him in real life. Like I like guys that get it done how he does. I am a fan of like pitch to contact guys. It's just like, I don't know. There's something about that. It kind of feels like an underdog almost, like guys that like don't just have elite stuff, but just get it done because pitchers can't or batters can't like quite barrel up the ball. And maybe there's something to say about the fact that the blazing speed and this D-backs outfield, that even if guys do end up lifting the ball, like good luck, like not getting that ball caught, but with the speed of McCarthy and Carroll and Alec Thomas, like they've got some blazing speed out in the outfield regardless. So
here's how I just figured it out. Why I'm so neutral on him is because he does make a lot of sense. To me, he makes sense a few rounds later than he goes. Whereas the times that I've waited for a quote unquote safe SP6, it's been Herman Marquez later. It's been Jameson Tyone later, Marcus Stroman later. So I guess the times that I consider him, which again would be as like a quote unquote safe SP6, there's just a few that I prefer to wait on at that point.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm not sure. He's such like a indifferent type of player, but like Chris, are you anywhere like close to Kelly, or is there a guy that's like Kelly that you like to take?
Kelly falls in like this dead range here, like post 150, 160 that I just really never find myself shopping in. And I'm either usually like done by 150. I took Mania here a little bit past ADP, which is fine. I think he's a little bit a cut above Kelly, or I'll wait to kind of the next tier 2 where we've got Molly, Flaherty, Trevor Rogers, Cobb, who went, Rasmussen, who went. Like that's the kind of tier that I do love being a part of.
I know we're kind of like anti last round pitcher here, but are there any guys at all that go 20th undrafted that you kind of like as like a sneaky pick for starting pitcher? I feel like there's quite a few, and maybe it's just me being like a sicko and like thinking like Wesneski and Justin Steele for the Cubs have some upside, or like Shintaro Fujinami have upside. Is there anybody that you think fits the bill, since like I know you're kind of like get them early and be done with it forever?
I think my number one criteria for the late guys is guys that can pitch on teams that win baseball games. Me and Neumy were looking at this a while ago, and just it was staggering, like the number of guys that finished near the top of pitcher on a weekly basis and on a like season-long basis that were just on good baseball teams. Like that's it. That was like the only criteria. It was actually kind of crazy in the playoffs. There was just something where it's like, okay, you played on a team that was trying at the end of the season and winning games. Like you probably were a decent playoff guy. So that would be my hang up on the like Tyon, Erod, Mitch Keller, Wisniewski, those kind of guys. I don't mind like the Syndergaard, Tyler Anderson, Kopech, maybe Sonny Gray. McCullers in the last round now is like easily the one that stands out to me. As like okay, like that I can work with that, like for sure. I was big on him at 150. Believe in the skills. Whatever, he's not a healthy guy in general, so he just missed that chunk of time up front, which can work. So I would be taking him probably near the back end and just hoping for he runs hot, he strikes a lot of guys and gets a bunch of guys out.
That's a really good point about just being on a good team, because it is pretty stark when you look at how pitchers score points in this format. They get a lot of points from a win, and they get a lot of points from a quality start. And having a good team around you helps you stay in the game longer. To maybe some guys get yanked when they give up 3 runs because they don't have the run support that other players on good teams do receive. Definitely something that I think we should be adding in our criteria. I don't take a ton of the guys that I mentioned, but I do just think that they're so damn fun to mix in because they'll be so rare. For whatever it's worth, rarity only gets you so far. At the end of the day, they need to score the points, but maybe to just help get you there, to kind of set you apart, just something to consider.
I think Wisniewski is like the perfect example of, if you play in a season-long managed league, take him very late. If he doesn't work out, or if he isn't even in the rotation to start the year, you just drop him and pick up someone else. And again, talking about that, where to get your shares from, whether you play in roto leagues, you play an underdog, you play dynasty, you buy and sell cards, you play season-long bets. Like that's how I view baseball nowadays is, with all the knowledge that everyone here, accumulates from following the sport and looking at data, like okay, this is the information I have. Where can I benefit from this? And to me, like underdog isn't the place to benefit from Wisniewski. That's, in my dynasty league, or again,
Yeah.
maybe in a redraft. And just viewing everything like through that prism, I think is great with how many games and just, ways to interact with the sport that we have now.
That's a really good point. I've been doing that as well, because I am in a lot of managed leagues where I am like getting exposure to different guys because their prices are different or their ADPs are different, and getting them in my managed leagues. Like, for example, I'm in one that's a really interesting league. It's kind of based on WAR, how like WAR is accumulated. So you don't get any points for a run scored. You don't get any points for an RBI. And like pitchers don't really lose points for earned runs. It's based on like, do they give up a home run? Do they walk guys? And do they and do they strike out? And then with hitters, it's just, well, like the type of hits that they're accumulating, and that's really it. And then you get like negative points for an at bat, and then you accumulate as if you are productive at the plate. So somebody like Riley Green on ESPN is like 5% owned because he doesn't have a great team around him. But in this format, well, if he does well, it doesn't matter how his team does. It's more it more quantifies or the player's individual performances as opposed to counting stats. So it's kind of like a unique take on fantasy. But yeah, that's a really good point. Getting into categories league and then bumping up some steals and stuff like that for different guys is definitely the way to go here. Sheep with the Stroman pick. I have been adding in a lot more Stroman. I think if he hits his projected innings cap, he probably goes a lot higher, but he kind of had that up and down year, and so he's a little suppressed here. But
yeah, I talked about going boring, and then I took Glasnow, Detmers, Eovaldi, so I needed somebody with some innings that I felt a little bit more comfortable about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Detmer, I haven't checked Detmer's the ADP rise or not. He's again another, quote unquote spring riser who I imagine has gone up a lot in ADP since some of his starts recently.
He's been flying up. And I don't think it's going to stop either. I think once people kind of like remember that he threw a no-hitter last year too, I think we'll see that come up as like, we still have, as far as the dinger goes, I think like 30 or I think it's maybe close to 25% full. So that's like a good amount of drafts left. And as we get like a different audience into the dinger, I think they kind of come with different frames of mind when drafting. So definitely trying to save up some of my bullets for these last round drafts to see how things change, because the landscape, even just looking back at my bullpen drafts before we launched the dinger, I mean, it's just crazy to see some of this movement in players that we were sleeping on.
Yeah, the Corbin Carroll one I can't get. I sent out a tweet. I looked at it in like January, just talking about like players I liked at ADP, and Corbin Carroll was in the 80s. And so, I mean, I think when the bullpen first opened, it was even
It's chaos.
Yeah, it was even higher than that. So to see him now at 43 is just like so crazy. Oh, Profar, that is a.
We were all trying to push him.
I didn't. I thought I could go to. I literally thought I was going to get him at this round.
I did not think he was going to make it past Neumy on the turn. I figured if I took Jose Miranda with my last pick, I was getting one of the two of them back. And I was, pretty pleased. 7th guy. He's going to be in cores. I think he got locked into mostly an outfield role last year, but like his core background is a guy who plays all over the field. And Colorado has like 3 good players maybe on the whole roster. So that's like a lot of holes where a semi-average Profar can play all over the place. So
2.5 win player last year, man. I mean, if he puts that up again, that contract's a steal. Like just by dollar per WAR value. I mean, that would be a steal if he could do 2.5 WAR again. Just a matter of if he can. That this ADP, where do you think this ends up by the time the dinger closes? I'm gonna guess 15th round, and maybe higher. Now that I say that to myself.
Yeah, people fucking love the Rockies. And it's just so much fun to take somebody who could be in course for the last week of the season. And he's an outfielder and he hasn't been drafted a ton and he's very stackable with all these other guys that go in this range that are Rockies. So like I predict, yeah, he's gonna fly up and just become
He's an everyday player for them. Like
yes.
There's no the competition, like you said. I mean, there's none. I mean, who like is Jonathan Daza taking like plate appearances away from Jurickson Profar? Like, I don't think so. Right?
Jonathan
Like,
Daza was slated to be the leadoff guy on roster resource, and I just don't see that happening. So no, thank you.
Do you think he plays a little second base, or is that like firmly like McMahon?
Like
I think
he
that's
could.
probably-
It looks like roster resource already updated to him being the everyday left fielder leading off. So that's probably like 70% of his plate appearances come out of that spot. He could pick up appearances at second, third, first, DH, right field, like, and it's not like the actual good players on this team are the pictures of health. Like Chris Bryant is Mr. Miss a lot of games. So
right.
like there's gonna be spots open there for him to fill in. Like as long as Profar himself stays healthy, I think that like 550, 600, 650, why not? Like plate appearances is not out of the realm of possibility. So fire away.
Shout out Dylan, by the way. I'm in total agreement with you. I think Arias is a great pick as far maybe he doesn't have the weekly ceiling that some of these infielders do, but as far as an accumulator goes, I think Arias it makes a lot of sense in this ballpark where there's a lot of ground to cover and he's just going to spray that ball all over. Did anybody see what happened to? I believe is he talking about Yon Moncada?
Yeah,
what happened?
He just collided in the outfield. Tough to know if it's
anything. Yeah. Obviously, we have no idea. Hopefully, it's just a wind knocked out of him. That's rough. Ugh.
He was second in my queue after Profar. So thank you, woo woo.
Yeah. Shout out for that. I've been taking a lot of Yon late. I was not taking him early in draft season, and then I've lately come around on like, wow, like if the stars align for the White Sox, like I think they could smash and trying to capture that upside, but I won't be doing that anymore. So I think too, I just wanted to like make like a general point about pitchers because we kind of opened up about starting pitcher getting pushed up in these drafts. I've been as we get closer to the MLB season going on, I know it's a sin taking time to draft elsewhere on other sites, and it really puts into perspective like the pitching scoring on Underdog, and that it actually is like, I know they score less than batters, but it's not like completely meaningless on some of these other sites where they're penalized by hits and they're penalized by walks. Not here. And I think that is something that maybe we're kind of like losing sight of, is that like these elite pitchers. Well, I know you're not losing sight of this, Chris, but just in general here, as I talk my way through and make this last pick, I'm thinking about infield, but I have, you know what? Yeah, I'm worried about this Harper hole in my lineup, so I'm going to go David Peralta.
I like it.
I was gonna ask this question kind of as a fun question. Who's the worst outfielder you guys have taken in like the final rounds of a draft?
So define worst, because I don't want to disparage anybody, but
the one that made you feel grossest.
Well, it didn't make me. This is going objectively. The grossest is Cannon Smith and Jigba for the Pirates. In a dinger, not in a perfect game, but in a dinger. I think that third outfield spot for the I don't want to go on a whole Pirates tangent here, but it's kind of wide open. Swaggerty is looks healthy and is playing a lot and is playing great defense. CSN Cannon Smith and Jigba has been playing good baseball, and I like his hit tool a lot. He doesn't have a lot of power from a corner outfielder, but he walks a lot and makes pretty good contact. So that would be my answer. Neumy, who's your grossest outfielder that you've taken last? You're muted.
I think you're on mute.
He doesn't even want to say it.
In the bullpen, apparently I have some Chas McCormick shares.
Good Lord.
Those must have been some late night drafts where I just literally turned off the phone and said I can't do this at this time. But yeah, that seems to be one of the grossest ones.
You had a World Series hangover because he was mashing and
yeah. He helped me in a daily, so I'm pumped.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I was just like, yeah, let's go, like wheels up. No,
Yeah,
I
He's
really
ready
don't.
for the next pennant.
Yeah,
Yeah. I do not take. I don't take many late outfielders when I'm looking down in this. I just have zero exposures to like everyone down here. So
Sheep, what about you?
Alex Call.
Who?
yeah,
Alex Call.
For
The fourth outfielder for the Nationals. Who's probably going to get his roster position taken by Stone Garrett.
Bro, have you seen Stone Garrett? Why would you bet against Stone Garrett?
Why would you bet on someone named Alex Call?
So, all right. So he's been leading off in spring over like guys that like Lane Thomas. He showed some stuff last year when he played for the team, but the spring has just been absolutely disgusting for him. So,
And this is CALL, like phonetically.
yeah.
All right, let's take a trip down.
I have one share.
Ooh,
Okay.
look at that! Look at this. And in 47 games, 131 plate appearances, not bad, not bad.
He showed something at the end of last year.
And for
It definitely
for the
was a
Nationals,
late night.
I mean,
draft
former.
too.
Okay, so I like that the Guardians took a shot on him. That's a smart organization. I mean, he's old. He's 28. Nationals are playing for nothing. He's got to get playing time. Okay, I think I just talked myself into an Alex Call share.
Don't do it. He might not even make the team. He's gonna get.
Look at this. This isn't
beat out by
bad. This
Stone
isn't
Garrett.
bad. I like what you found here. Chris, what about you?
Actually, Woo Woo hit it in the chat.
Thank you.
I have some Kerry Carpenter.
Oh, man.
Great. But it's it's kind of the guy that I landed on a handful of times in my my Riley Green shares, because I was taking some Riley Green. I take some Austin Meadows. I don't take any Javier Baez because I don't need that near my roster.
Thank
only
you.
20
'Cause you have
spots.
Because you have half a brain cell.
Yeah, no thanks. So the last handful of days, I've been addicted to this swing decision run value stat that I found from this guy on Twitter, Drew Hagen. And there's no leaderboard, so the only way you can find out the stats from this thing is by searching individual players in his little similarity score tool. And so I've been trying to like search enough guys up and then look at all the comps and see what the lowest and the highest guys I could find. Highest, Anthony Rendon. But the lowest that I've been able to find so far is Javier Baez and his like 75.6 swing decision metric, which is the worst in the league by like a mile. So it's just like, I can't do it. So I'm like, all right, if it's not going to be him, it's not going to be a handful of other dudes. Like maybe it's Gary Carpenter. So that's my late Detroit stab.
I like
does
it.
Does your swing decision metric measure the dog inside someone? Because Javier Baez has that dog in him. So
El Mago, baby.
When he knows he's gonna opt out this year and it's a contract year, don't worry. I'll be sitting there with my 1,200 underdog points.
Dude,
more for me.
You want
If you think
contract
Javier's-
Javier Baez swinging at everything? Oh my god! Like
We don't get penalized though. I will say we don't get penalized.
You don't get rewarded either. If he opts out of that contract, I will owe you an apology. I will say that. I will owe you an apology. Let's go ahead and recap these teams that we just drafted here. That was really fun. It's great. It's honestly a lot of fun to be in a draft with sharp dudes like this because it kind of forces you to take some stands. So yeah, maybe it's not as EV, but it's a fun exercise here. Let's start with our honored guest Chris here. 677. I do quite a bit of that with DeGrom. So do you pronounce the B in Fromber? I've been calling him Fromber. Is it Framer?
I do pronounce the B in Fromber.
So do I.
Yeah, or he's a Fromber. So he was one of the I feel like he was one of the early Discord darlings last year, where it was like, oh shit, this Fromber dude. Let's take him all the time. And I feel
shout out shot, go blue. He was all over him.
Yeah. So Fromber was very good to a lot of us last year, and I feel like he makes a great pairing with DeGrom where he goes.
Yeah, I like your thought process there. Pairing him with DeGrom, somebody who could be injured a lot. Fromber is kind of the pinnacle of health for him. Knock on wood, just the way that he gets the job done. I'm a big fan of. Uh, Practicing what you preach here with a really elite pitching squad here. 4 pitchers in the top 100, really nice. Rounding out with Bassett and Manaya, and then going 7 infielder with Devers, Correa, Andrew Vaughn, my newly discovered boy, not newly discovered, but I'm in on him lately. Like I said, I've kind of come around to the White Sox. Brandon Lau, Ketel Marte, Jose Miranda, shout out Neumy, and Yandy Diaz. These are some ball players. These are guys that can hit infield. It's hard to draft 7 infielders and feel bad about it, I will say. This is some nice depth. And then just to round this out here with Mike Trout, Luis Robert, Nick Castellanos, who I have 0 of, by the way, Mitch Haniger, Benintendi, Kike, and Jerickson Profar, who is the steal of the draft. I don't need to see anybody else's team. What are your thoughts leading the draft, Chris? Did you like how you did?
Yes and no. I got a handful of my guys like DeGrom, Trout, Cattell for sure. Love where he goes. Love everything about him. John really laid out the case for that the other day, so I have nothing else to add besides saying he's a smash at that pick and probably the 30 picks before it. I will say that Castellanos, I think, is both you and Newmy's object of ire. And I find myself clicking him a decent amount where he goes. There's something about the way that his year went last year and the skills that we've seen in the past that make me think that, and I'm going to steal this from John Legeza, Moving Averages on Twitter. He has basically laid out the case that Castellanos was really pressing hard after first year in a big contract. And some of his plate discipline shit, which was not great to start with. So that's not ideal, but really went out the window. And he was like reaching and swinging a lot. So I'm hoping he reins that in and just kind of like throttles it down in an excellent lineup. And I'm getting him at a 50 pick discount over last year. So I'll take that. Yeah,
that's nice. I do think that there's definitely some merit to him kind of dealing with some of those contract pressures from last year. And I'd be foolish to say that he can't positively regress and do better this year in a lineup that is pretty loaded, especially once they get Harper back, of course. Darksheep, the old tried and true 866, like we all thought was the necessary format last year. Let's take a look here, starting with Alek Manoah, going to Hunter Green with Chris Sale and Glass now, rounding out with Detmers, Nathan Eovaldi, Marcus Stroman, and Lance McCullers. So if you're going to go 8 pitcher, this is probably how you do it. You pile in these guys that are risky, like Hunter Green has his own risk, Chris Sale has his own risk, Glass now does, as does McCullers, and you just pair them with volume guys like Stroman. Eovaldi's normally a volume guy, and Manoah especially. I think you can pencil him in for like 180 innings. I like this rotation here. Is this how you envisioned this draft going for you?
No, not at all. I might put 2 of these guys together on a normal roster.
Yeah.
But that's also why I eventually went to, so outside of Manoah and Stroman, I might put 2 of the rest of the guys together on one staff. But that's why I went with the 8 instead of my normal 7.
Okay. No, like I said, I do think that this staff makes sense for 8. If you can, piece together these elite games from those guys like once, and if they are healthy, I think that makes sense. Love the infield here. Freddie Freeman, Seager, to Reese Hoskins, Nathaniel Lowe, Rowdy Tellez, and Miguel Vargas. I think Vargas still goes too cheap. He wasn't even swinging at the beginning of the year, still drawing walks. I'm gonna chalk that up as a dub. I don't care. He's awesome, and you stacked him with Mookie, and got George Springer, Adolis Garcia, Michael Conforto, Charlie Blackmon, and Dylan Carlson. I like this team too. Anything that you want to add? Any closing remarks to this team as I move on?
No. The only thing is that I did make a mistake there with Conforto. I was thinking that I wasn't going to get another pick before baseball, and I was prepared diatribe about him. So I took him a little bit earlier than I wanted to. I think I could have got another pick on before him, but I knew he wasn't going to make it back to me through Chris. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like him. I think that that's okay. I think that that fits his range of outcomes as far as how he can perform. Neumy, let's check that. Let's check out this beautiful masterpiece. 776. I do a good bit of this as well. Let's look at this rotation. A lot of filth at the top with Nola, Castillo, Logan Gilbert, Lance Lynn, Kodai Senga, John Gray, and Jack Flaherty. So this is just a lot of really quality pitchers. Do you normally go 7 when you draft?
The combination, no. I mean, I would say it's my second most common build, but by far it's 6. And it was just a combination of kind of what was going on with the staff and kind of how my last John Gray, I had someone, I was going to go Alex Cobb and cap it at 6. That went out the window, and I took John Gray, and for some reason I just didn't feel comfortable enough. I was maybe going to cap it, but then Jack Flaherty fell that far, and I also just there's value right there. Someone that I'm on that I just capitalized on. So
yeah, 25 picks past ADP is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. I just don't know if what I'm going to get from Senga. Like, he's kind of just a mystery in me. We hope that he's the darling we all did. So that's why I also like to in this throw a little extra insurance on there, even though they're upside guys. Really.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that makes sense with getting Judge 101, right? I mean, he covers so much ground for your outfield that you can afford to do things like you did at pitcher. This infield looking pretty nasty with Matt Olson, Jose Abreu, and Vinny P, finishing with Jonathan India, DJ LeMahieu, MJ Melendez, my boy, and Will Myers for the Great American Ballpark factor there. I don't have any Will Myers, but I totally understand the Will Myers thesis.
Yeah, just a 7th guy on there. When I get to these 7th guys, I'd really just look for upside cases and like a mini stack. And it was an easy click, last pick in the draft. I mean, it just seems like a great fit, little mini stack there. But yeah, when it's a 7th guy like that, I'll just keep rotating in, and I didn't have any in my previous 8 perfect games. So a lot of this was also exposure based. So I tried to mix that in combos.
Okay.
So.
And then finishing out with the outfield here, really solid outfield with Aaron Judge, Buxton, Starling Marte, Trey Mancini, Mark Canha, and Mike Yastrzemski. I will go on record to say that I am like a huge Mark Canha fan. However, I don't take him in these formats because I am worried about playing time. But I love him as a player. Are you taking him a lot, or is this an exposure play for you?
First pick in the perfect game. I looked at my overall exposure. It's at I think it was 5% throughout all tournaments. So it was really just all the outfields around there were basically gone that I really wanted, and he was just a stack partner. You hit it off the park, which we talked on one of the earlier episodes. There's so many outfielders for the Mets. I mean, we already talked about the dailies are going to be crazy. I mean, there's Marte, Nimmo, Canha, Ruff, Vogelbach, someone else I'm probably missing, Pham. So there's 6 of them there that are all going to be vying for at bats. So it's not someone I normally click, but I'm going to buy into. I mean, the points there, and it's just mini stack and get a little.
Somebody's got to play, right? So if you hit it right, I mean, Canha can probably outperform that ADP pretty solidly with that lineup. Yeah. And just to tie a bow on this, we will recap my team. I did some picks for the bit with my heart, but feel confident about the team regardless. 767. Which I do quite a bit of. I will say I like kind of trying to attack outfield with some volume. So this is what I would quantify as zero. I would call this zero pitcher. My first pitcher taken being Blake Snell, to Charlie Morton, Nestor Cortez, Clayton Kershaw, Gumby, Jordan Montgomery, our boy Grayson Rodriguez, who everyone can agree on is a great pick, and Mitch Keller to round out this rotation here. Grayson in this format is definitely a risk, but I like taking the risk on Grayson, I will say. Infield here did a little Mets stacking with Alonso, Francisco Lindor, O'Neal Cruz, Tristan Casas, shout out Tuma, Jeff McNeil, and Luis Ariz. Finishing with the outfield here, Shohei Ohtani, Brian Reynolds, Corbin Carroll, Bryce Harper, Jesse Winker, Andrew McCutchen for that beautiful Pittsburgh stack, and David Peralta hitting in the heart of that Dodgers lineup, I hope. Again, guys, this was a lot of fun. If we have the demand for it, I'm down to do another, but we'll see what the people are thinking. But this was a lot of fun. Tuma, Brendan, Chris, Sheep, thanks for joining us, man. This was this is a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys coming on here. Always learn a ton from talking with you guys. So thanks a lot for carving out some time on your Sunday nights.
I was gonna be drafting anyway.
Well, that's good to hear. All right, guys. Anything that you guys would like to plug before I sign everybody off? Just baseball's on. That's the plug. Watch baseball. All right, guys.
Fill some dailies.
Yeah. When the dailies come out, I expect you to be there. We're gonna fill this out. We're gonna get nice prize pools. We're gonna play responsibly, and we're gonna win some money because you guys are gonna watch Badge Bros. All right, everybody. Peace.
Hold on, guys. Here we go. Hold on.